Good deal. Hi, everybody. Thanks for spending Saturday here. I've had there's so-and-so driver again. I remember him from last time. This is a great way to pass the time if you're driving. I know that for sure, or any other time, really. I wanted to start out with something special today. This is the exact opposite of the patterns for me. Acceptance. And acceptance is the answer to all of my problems today. Nothing, absolutely nothing happens in the world by mistake. Unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as what needs to be changed in me and in my attitudes. I've been having a really fun time with this lately. I had the reason I'm bringing this up and kind of shot through me that I should bring this up today. My boyfriend about 2 weeks ago took a bad ski fall and he broke his back, 2 ribs, punctured lung, torn esophagus. I mean, he's tall. So when he falls, it's like timber and he slams down to the ground. So he got racked up pretty badly in a place in his back where he could be paralyzed if things went bad. So I had a lot of options, but the one that I dropped into, and I have to drop into every day, is acceptance. This is the way it is right now. That's it. If I'm not practicing acceptance, I'm practicing a pattern. And denial, compliance is a good one with this. There's nothing I can do about it. Control, I can be running around trying to control the doctors. What are you doing for them now? What's up with this? What's that? Let them do their job. Okay. And it's been a really interesting adventure. I can't say it's been fun, but it's certainly been a really good learning experience. And I get to learn more every single day because I'm the point person for the family. So I'm taking care of all the conversations back and forth. I've kind of taken over some business things that Dave would normally do. And this is just the way it is right now. That's it. If I'm not practicing acceptance, I am practicing a pattern. And speaking of those, let's bring this baby up. Take my advice. I'm not using it. Yeah, I was really, really good at giving other people some great advice. Oh my goodness. I was such a genius at this because I knew exactly what they needed all the time. But they weren't paying really much attention to me. It was odd because they came to me and asked me for advice. So why didn't they take it? Well, they didn't really want to get well. They wanted to be listened to. They wanted to be heard. So I kind of, and I'm sure that you probably have some people in your life like this. Drawing a boundary on people like that is difficult because they make you feel like you're the only one in the world that can help them. That's not true. They will find a new victim as soon as you draw a boundary. So don't worry about that. So here we go. Boop. All right. So codependence, I thought what we'd do was go pattern by pattern and just talk about what did these things mean. I never really had a for instance. I'd like to do a for instance with the patterns today. And I would really like your feedback because not all of these pertain to me, or at least I don't think they do. Okay. I might just not have had a situation where they come into play. So starting with denial patterns, one of my family favorites anyway, codependence often. Now, please raise your little virtual hand. I will call on you if you have anything you want to contribute to this, because this is not just my stories. I want to learn from you too. But I do have great stories. They're awful. Denial patterns, codependents often have difficulty at identifying what they are feeling. There's a face chart. There's this big chart full of faces and they all look different and they have that word description underneath them of what that is. And I actually had to look at those faces to define what I was feeling because I could resonate with that face. But the word, I was having a little bit more trouble with that. Luckily, in my home group, we introduce ourselves by our first name only and say a couple of words about how we're feeling. And they have this big chart of positive and negative feelings, and they have columns, and they have multiple choice, and you can get in there and, well, how am I feeling? See, I didn't matter. My feelings were beside the point. My feelings were last on the list. So I had to use that chart of faces for a while to describe or determine how I felt, mostly because I'd never considered it before. I only considered how you felt. And if you felt okay, I felt okay. It was good. Didn't have to do anything. And that was rare. Minimize, alter, or deny how they truly feel. This one's pretty simple. I didn't realize how much I did this. But in order to keep my fake relationships going, I had to keep making adjustments in my own feelings to make it work. For example, he was probably too busy to call me today. He's such a hard worker. This doesn't hurt at all. You know, he is, yeah, boy, that is so cool that he didn't call me today because he works so hard. Said's kind of altering, it's denying, it's minimizing. If he doesn't call you for a week now, what are you going to say? I would figure it out. I would figure it out so it would be okay in my head that he wasn't calling me. Now, this is back in the age before cell phones. Now you can go live your own life because you got your cell phone right there. You're not going to miss a call. Back in my day, phone was on the wall. So if you were waiting for somebody to call you, or hoping somebody would call to you, you were home all the time waiting for the phone to ring. And then I remember thinking, well, maybe his phone's broken. I should call the operator and find out, make sure his phone's working, because you can do that. You can also break in on an emergency. If they're in the middle of a call with someone else, you could actually call the operator. It's an emergency, you got to break in. Yeah, those were the good times. But cell phones now, God bless them. Don't take it, don't disregard that advantage that you have. Go out and live your own life. Have a great time. If they happen to call, that's super. If they don't, well, they're on their own path. That was not something that I recognized ever. Perceive themselves as completely unselfish and dedicated to the well-being of others. Of course, I was unselfish. It took me a long time to realize that I had hidden motives. Long time. I didn't realize it. My sponsor pointed it out. It just didn't occur to me that I might have something else going on. It was only after coming to CODA that I realized my motives were not pure. Not all the time. I mean, I batted out of the park a couple of times, but for example, my older sister was lonely, and I thought she needed a boyfriend. So I started praying for her to have a boyfriend. And because I thought that's what she needs. I mentioned it to my sponsor, and she said, well, you really don't know what she needs. Well, who would know more than me? I'm her sister, right? But then we started digging under it a little bit. Well, let's see what this is all about. I love my sponsor. She does not let me get away with anything, because she knows she's done these things. That's what sponsors are for. They've done this stuff. They can see it. What was more true, and I like to say, it's more true to say that I wanted her off my case. She had 6 kids. She's an empty nester now. And so I was her new project. And I don't like being somebody's project. Constant picking. It was like, Mom? I see her talk, but I was hearing my mom's voice, But always I could do something better. And that's where I got the idea, you should, okay, you should be more like me. And I confronted her on that one time, and I stumped the panel. It was awesome. But I actually said, I think what I'm hearing is that I should be more like you. And she denied it at first. See, denial patterns, that's her gig. But then she admitted it. She has just enough to recovery to be dangerous. But she did admit that, you know what, you're right. I am trying to get you to be more like me. You go off and be who you are. And so my motive on this one, I want her to have a boyfriend so he can be the new project and she'll leave me alone. It sounded good in the speaking at first. It sounded very good. I said, what an altruistic person I am to pray for somebody else to get a boyfriend. That is awesome. But it was selfish completely. Yeah. Well, I do my best, right? Lack empathy for the feelings and needs of others. When I first read that, I thought, oh, well, why do they need my empathy? They have everything. They're happy. They have a new car. They've got a new house. They've got a better job than I have. They have everything that I think I need. Why should I have empathy for them? And so I did it. In my victimhood, nobody else mattered. I was the one being hurt. No, not them. My perception then was that everyone else was happy and had more than I did. So if I came out occasionally on top, I deserved it. That's a little twisted. Okay, that's kind of twisted thinking. I actually do have empathy for the feelings and needs of others, especially the people who are not in recovery, because they don't know any better, just like I didn't know any better. It makes me sad. But again, not my business. Label others with their negative traits. Ooh, this is one of my favorites. Hold on. Oh, I jumped way ahead, didn't I? Boop. Label others with their negative traits. Now, what might that mean? I heard a phrase one time, and I wished for the longest time that I hadn't heard it. She casually flung out, well, if you can spot it, you've got it. And I thought, oh no, that just ruined everything. Because I can spot a lot of stuff. Ooh, she's such a gossip. Well, what am I doing right now? I'm gossiping. If I can spot it, I've got it. And it's a good learning tool for me to figure out what I need to work on. Because I've just spotted something. Oh, he's so this or she's so that. Oh, time to go look in the mirror again. It's the acid test. If you're labeling others with your negative traits, if you can spot it, you've got it. So it's just time to go back to work, and that's all. It's not good, it's not bad. I'm going to tell my Chinese guy story, my old Chinese guy story, because this is so visual for me. I'm going to keep the Chinese moniker and not alter anything. There was an old Chinese guy, this is, of course, 100 years ago. He and his son were the only ones left on the farm, and they had to do everything. They had to do all the plowing and all the work. And they only had one horse. He only had one son. They're barely scraping by. And one day the horse ran off. And all the neighbors came by and, oh my God, that's so awful. I'm so sorry. You must feel terrible. And that old guy says, well, might be good, might be bad. I don't know yet. And a couple of weeks later, sure enough, horse comes back and brought another 3 with him. And the neighbors are, yay, that's fantastic, so wonderful news, that's so great. And the guy says, yeah, might be good, it might be bad, I don't know yet. A couple of weeks later, his only son, is trying to break one of the new horses, falls and breaks his leg real bad. The neighbors again, oh my God, that's so terrible. Oh, that's so awful, I'm so sorry for you. It's sad, might be good, might be bad, we don't know yet. And a couple of weeks after that, Chinese army marched through, taking all the young, healthy men, and he was not healthy. He had a broken leg. See, we don't know. We don't know what's supposed to happen. So I try really hard just to not label things anymore. Okay, that was a side issue. Let's see. Oh, I've got a chat. Think they can take care of themselves without any help from others. There we go. If you can spot it, you got it. Very nice. Think they can take care of themselves without any help from others. Oh, somebody's making notes. I get it. All right. Yeah, I'm an egomaniac with an inferiority complex. It's simple. If I ask for help, that means I'm stupid or incapable, so I can't do that. And I can't show weakness because they're going to use it against me. On my planet, everyone was out to get me. I knew that. It was obvious because I could perceive all kinds of insults and jabs and things like this. In retrospect, none of that was true. I used to say things like my mom used to tell me I was fat. That's a lie. She never said, Karen, you are fat. But I knew I was because I was squished between two skinny, smarter sisters. So it's simple. They're the ones getting A's. They're the prized kids. They're the ones that, are important. And I'm the chubby one in the middle with the B minus, C plus maybe. So I knew. You didn't have to tell me, I knew. But in my world, that sort of translated into mom telling me I was fat. That's a lie. Okay. Think they can take care of themselves without any help from others. I stiff-armed a lot of people that could have helped me. Now, it's weird. When I first started practicing saying yes instead of no all the time, it was really kind of fun. Yes, I would like help with that. And okay, wow. They're not trying to hurt me. They're not trying to take my job. They're not trying to dig me or anything. They're not jabbing me. Nothing like that. I made up a whole bunch of crap, a whole bunch. And I used it to hurt myself. Why would anybody do that? Nobody but codependents do that, I think. Deliberately hurt ourselves. That's weird. That should be in here somewhere. I think it probably is. Mask pain in various ways, such as anger, humor, or isolation. I had this weird face that was unreadable because if you could read what I was thinking in my house, this was very dangerous. It's very dangerous. And don't tell the truth, for Christ's sakes. If somebody asks you, what are you thinking? What are you thinking about? Don't tell the truth. God bless me. I learned that one the hard way over and over again. But then I had to unlearn it as an adult. The things that I learned as a child that I knew for sure, had to unlearn them after I came to college. Hello, baby, little Furby. Okay. So I used humor a lot of times. Isolation, the easiest way for me is to isolate. Hi, baby. Sorry, I get distracted by pets because I'm an avoider. So for me, it's just easier to isolate. If I don't let anybody around me, I can't get hurt. That's too easy. I mean, my goodness, why would you lead with your chin and go outside? That's ridiculous. Express negativity or aggression in indirect or passive ways. Yeah, indirect and passive, only because I was too afraid to go head on with somebody and say, I think you're wrong. I think this, I think that. I think nothing. I had no original ideas. When I started doing 12-step programs, none of this stuff was my original idea. It's starting to come to me now through CODA that I actually can think for myself, and I really should, to a point. I need a sponsor. I need the program. And and I need a higher power, obviously. I would not allow anyone to know they had hurt me. And I had an unreadable face because that's the safest. In my house, you weren't allowed to be animated. In my house, if you laughed too loud, that was a problem. So you couldn't be too happy, couldn't be too sad. But on some days it was okay, but you didn't know which days those were. So you kind of, let's just be safe about this and have that unreadable. And I had no expression. I just had no expression and I mastered it. Somebody eventually caught me on that and talked to me about it when I think I burst out into a rage about something. They told me I didn't know what responsibility was. And I bust out and just started screaming at them. You have no idea, blah, 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 and then stopped myself all of a sudden. They said, no, that was great. Let me have it. That wasn't a nice comment. Tell me what you're going to say. So I let them have it. It felt good. But that was when the first time I realized that I did not have an expression. Direct confrontation, way too risky, way too risky. Do not recognize the unavailability of those people to whom they are attracted. I think this is what brought most of us here. I would be comfortable saying that's what brought most people here. My example of a love relationship was my parents. and they were isolators. They would come home, get a drink at the bar, because, full bar, of course, in case somebody stopped by, if nobody ever did, got themselves a drink, went back to their bedroom, and then the kids would come crawling back out of our various hiding places, go to the kitchen, make dinner, and serve it to them on TV trays, and then come get their TV tray when they were done, and then sneak back out of the room, and then go as far away from them geographically as we could in the house and put on the TV. And we avoided each other. We had no contact. So I didn't know what a relationship was supposed to look like. How would I know? I never had any examples of anything other than really a tense feeling. I don't think I'm making that up. In the room with them, you just really didn't talk until they talked. So you could kind of gauge the room. It's like the cowboy throwing his hat in, somebody shoots at it, they don't come in. They were unavailable to me. So this is what I felt was normal. This is what a love relationship was. If I was pursued by someone who was attracted to me, I found them boring. And I would run off and pursue someone I couldn't have. Always the most attractive man in the room, always short-lived. That was my MO. Have difficulty making decisions. I didn't think this was part of my MO, but I had to think about it, because for me, I make snap decisions. Usually, they're 50-50, sometimes wrong, sometimes right, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but I would make them quickly. And so I had trouble with this one. Do I have difficulty making the decisions? Well, yes and no. Usually I make a snap decision, and that's bad. But when I can't decide, it's because I don't want to make the wrong decision. Wrong equals stupid, and stupid equals bad. So don't take that risk. If it was something for somebody else, for my boss or somebody like that, try not to get in a decision-making mode. I usually get shot down anyway. It's the oddest thing. I would come up with a good response, what I considered a good response and a good situation solver, and then I just get shot down. Like, it was really, really strange. So I stopped doing it. It doesn't take that many times to figure it out for me. Judge what they think, say, or do harshly as never good enough. Yeah, I was very nervous to express my own opinions, because I didn't really have any. I honestly did not think for myself or think, what do I think about that? I adopted the opinion of the room. And that way I wouldn't look stupid. See, you don't look stupid if you agree with somebody, duh. See, I am scientific about this. I know how to do this. I could figure this one out, just agree with the room, and then they treat you like you're smart. Ta-da! Very, very, very simple. And that's what I did. Learned it with the folks at home, learned it with teachers, learned it with pastors, learned it with everybody growing up, because I started doing this and found out it worked, so I kept doing it. Why wouldn't I? Once I got in Dakota, I thought, well, okay, maybe I should decide for myself. I love to use the example of the weatherman telling me how I'm supposed to think about the weather. Everybody would tell me, people I'd never met would tell me, it's going to be a terrible day tomorrow. It's going to rain all day. Well, I love the rain. I love to listen to it rain. It's fantastic. It smells good. It's wonderful. But I was told that it's going to be awful tomorrow. It's going to be terrible. And so that's the way I would proceed with my day. Today is going to be bad. Didn't even think about it. Didn't even think about it for myself. Do I like rain or not? Or is rain a problem for me, or isn't it? I just knew that today was going to be bad, and it was that simple. Anybody who had some sort of authority over me or perceived smartness that I didn't have, or the weatherman, he obviously knows about the weather. He's a weatherman. So he's going to tell me how I can think about it. It's crazy when I look back on it, it's like, wow, that's just nutty. I don't do that anymore. I think for myself a lot. And it's, what do I think about that? I think rain is wonderful. Okay. I would really prefer somebody just give me the numbers. and I'll decide. Embarrassed to are embarrassed to receive recognition, praise, or gifts. This was not me. I can't think of an instance. Did it again. Here we go. I can't think of an instance where I did not want to receive recognition, praise, or gifts. So if somebody can raise their hand for me and give me some experience in this area, because I seemed like I was just the opposite. I was angry at the lack of recognition and praise that I felt I deserved. I didn't really in retrospect, but I felt like I did. How come I didn't get one of those little coins so that I could turn it in at the cashier for money? I did this and that. I thought about this and implemented that, and I did this, and I'm wonderful. And how come I'm not the one getting those coins? Well, I know it now. I was a pain in the ass to work with. Parents told me I was good all the time. Yeah, I didn't really have that problem growing up. I was never really, oh, you're doing fantastic. My sisters got that. You know, that was my sister's purview. They were skinnier, they were smarter, and you know, they got straight A's just by breathing in and out. So that's what it looked like to me. Value others' approval of their thinking, feelings, and behavior over their own. Yeah. Somehow my thinking, it was no good. It was less than. It was obviously, I had two smart sisters, skinnier, smarter. They knew everything. And best I could do was just to be minus guess at things. So I didn't really put myself out there very much. I was a chameleon. I would change my thinkings, feelings, and behaviors to suit the people I was with at the time. And if I went into a different room and was different with different people and a different opinion, I would scan the room and make sure there was nobody in there that I had just been in with the other room. And then I would go along with them. It's important in my mind. See, if you're going from one room of people to another room of people, you can't say yes to both of those things. You can't believe in both, right? So you got to make sure that nobody carried over from the other room as well. You got to think about this stuff. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's not easy being me back then. Because I didn't have my own feelings, I would go along with yours. I was afraid that if I didn't do that, they would find someone else to hang out with, you know, or I wouldn't belong in there, or I would be looked at like, what is she doing in here? Who invited her? So I just didn't risk that stuff. My fear of shame was a whole lot bigger than actual shame. Way, way, way bigger. And it was perceived. It was something that I didn't make it up necessarily, but I perceived it to be true. Okay. Do not perceive themselves as lovable or worthwhile persons. Yeah, nobody had to tell me I wasn't good enough. It was just something I knew. Nobody had to tell me I was stupid, but they did say if I just tried harder, I could get A's like my sisters. That's how I knew my sisters were better than I was. Put two and two together. It's simple. I got that far. You know, I did get that far. I knew my sisters were better than I was. Oddly, years later, my sisters, one of them at least, told me she always wished she was me because I was kind of the wild card of the family. You never knew what I was going to go off and do. And I'm thinking, I always wished I was you. You know, grass is greener on the other side or whatever. But then I started, you know, thank God I didn't get my wish. Holy cow, she had 6 children. She married 2 alcoholics. They're both dead of alcoholism now. The kids are now having alcohol problems. Her life sucks. And I wouldn't want to change it. But I wanted to be her for the longest time because she was honored. You know, she was kind of the golden child, smarter, thinner, all that stuff. Yeah, so I knew my sisters were better than me. Nobody had to tell me. So I actually went off in different areas rather than compete with them. I would do different things like drama. They weren't into drama, so I went into drama. That was fun, especially because you get to be somebody other than yourself. Now, please remind me if it's time for a break, because I'll just keep going. You know how I do. Okay. Seek recognition and praise to overcome feeling less than. Gosh, yeah, it didn't take much to reassure me either. You know, I was happy with crumbs. But if I didn't get anything, I would manipulate a response and then question it once I got it. If you have to fish for a compliment, do you believe it when you get it? No, I did. You know, I did. It was a welcome. I got some. See, I told you they love me. Ta-da. It was really weird. And just the guy wouldn't call me for a week. And then all of a sudden he'd call me. Ah, there he is. I told you love me. See, no crumb. And he just wanted to come over and, have some fun temporarily, and that was okay with me too, because I turned that into love as well. Have difficulty admitting a mistake. Oh my God, yeah. Looking stupid was absolutely to be avoided. I was afraid to admit things because these admissions might be used against me later. People were mean to me. If I let them know that I made a mistake, it's going to show up on my paycheck, or I'm not going to get that raise, or I'm not going to get a promotion, or they're just looking for an excuse not to promote me. That kind of a lifestyle where you're constantly on guard, constantly for something that might or might not happen. Boy, that's a full-time gig, full-time. And then I'd go try to go to sleep at night and ruminate about what I may or may not have done correctly. Need to appear to be right in the eyes of others and may even lie to look good. Of course I would. I mean, lying was my middle name. I got it in my family of origin, it was safer to lie. I learned that one time the hard way. I'm going up and down here trying to find where I am again. Here we go. Oop. Okay, hands off. Long time ago, 50 years ago, it must be. More than that. Damn. I was drinking out of the tap and at the sink, just drinking out of the tap. That's it. And stepdad came behind me and slapped my head into the thing. And it was like I had shot somebody. And I got sputtered up and I'm crying instantly because it hurt and I was embarrassed and it was shameful and all that other stuff. And I must have given him a look. I don't know which look I had on my face because normally I've got nothing, but I let something creep through. And this is the problem. He asked, well, what are you thinking about right now? Uh-oh. What are you thinking about right now? And I finally got mad enough to tell him, my dad. And boy, was he pissed. We had been to the fair that day. He had been a good father that day. During the daytime, he tried to be a good father. It was the nighttime when he was coming into my rooms that things kind of took a nasty turn. But during the day, he was, the great stepdad. And he was mad about that. My mom came out right behind him, slammed her feet down on the ground. She only weighs about 100 pounds. But when she walks down the hallway, you better buckle up, man, because you're in trouble. She asked me one time, she yelled from her bedroom in the morning, did you open the garage door? No, she asked me, would you open the garage door? I thought she said, did you? I yelled back, no. And here she comes, slamming those feet down on the ground. You get the whole place would shake almost. And she was in my face. I'm like, that's where I got my stuttering. I didn't know what to do about it. Telling the truth was dangerous. And when I do something like that now, I just admit it. The world doesn't fall apart, right? If I do something now, oh, okay. Because that's actually a small thing. They might, but I love to call it pole vaulting over mouse turds because it is small. But they make it huge, like you just shot somebody or, it's just crazy. But if somebody reacts like that, that's for them to work out, not me. So it's a good program. I love it. That's so true. I was so scared and it was such a small thing. And I finally, what the corner turner for me was the chef that we had kept, oh my God, he was on my case all the time. This isn't right. That isn't right. Okay. Sometimes it was my fault. Sometimes it wasn't. And I'm admitting it's my fault. And because that's what I'm supposed to do, but I'm feeling about that tall. And finally, my boss just said, he just wants you to do it right, Karen. That's all. Okay. So he's not trying to belittle me per se. He just wants me to do my job correctly. I can do that. And if I make a mistake, that's, part of the deal. I process 1,000 pieces of paper a month. I'm going to make a mistake at some point. But that actually really kind of, it just released the whole, he just wants you to do your job correctly. That's all. He just wants good numbers. Oh, okay, I can do that. Ugh. Why is it so hard? Okay, let's see. Need to appear to be right in the eyes of others, may even want to look good. Got that one done. Are unable to ask for or identify what they need and want. It would have been impossible for somebody to satisfy my needs because they changed all the time. I didn't know what I really needed or wanted. I asked myself one time, would I want somebody to love me the way I love? And for about a half a second, I said, yeah, that'd be great. Okay, wait a minute. All right, I'm scared all the time. I'm clingy. I need validation. I need this, I need that. No, I don't want anybody to love me the way I love. Not like that. Not like that. Not scared all the time. My needs changed all the time because I would concentrate on something that I needed. That's what I need to make me happy. And then I would either get that or it would be outright no. And so then it would be something else that would make me happy because that thing that I got wasn't the right color. So I guess that wasn't it after all. So now it's over here and that's what I need to make me happy. I need a raise and then I'll be happy. And then, when this happens, then I'll be happy. If I do this email, like Yvette said, this little bitty email perfectly, then my boss will have praised me and stuff like that. I'm supposed to do the email correctly. That's my job. Shouldn't have to praise somebody for just doing their job. I needed that though. I wanted it. I wanted somebody, please, will somebody tell me I'm valuable for primary. Everybody's valuable but me. And I hated the people. I can use the word hate because I had it at that time. I hated the people that just seemed to get everything. They would just do nothing, go through their day, la, 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 and they would get promotions and raises and all of these prizes and awards and all this stuff. I'm going, I do a better job than they do. Well, that may or may not be true. I don't know. I know I was a pain in the butt to work with though. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as what needs to be changed in me and my attitudes. If I am not practicing acceptance, patience, and tolerance, I'm practicing a pattern. Thank you. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, okay. Perceive themselves as superior to others. That stumped me because it's in the low self-esteem patterns. How can that be? They must have put that in the wrong place. And I thought, they probably didn't, Karen. So what does that mean? It took me a while, but I started seeking lower company so I could feel higher, especially in my drinking days. I wouldn't go for somebody that I felt was equal to me or better than me. I would go lower so I could feel good about myself, and it worked. Usually I would financially support people so they could leave. I mean, it's basically taking hostages, but hey, if they can't leave, then they're yours, right? And they're going to learn to love you. There we go. Okay. Also, when I got into recovery, I started feeling superior to those that didn't have recovery. And that's crappy. I'm still tempted to do that. I have to watch myself because with this around my family, I'm like, man, you guys are coconuts. But they're just who they are. They've got their own snakes to kill, as they say. When that one stumped me, it did. It stumped me. And so then I had to remember, oh, yes, that's right. I looked lower so that I could feel higher. Let's see, and sponsoring. When you start sponsoring people, that's a danger zone because you've got more time than they do. So in one regard, you have more than they have at that time. That doesn't mean you're superior. It just means you've had more bad experiences than them or whatever. I had a lot of bad experiences in my life, and the only thing they're good for now is they're just part of my story. And I can use those things to help other people, and that's it. It's not emotionally degrading anymore. I don't feel shamed by it anymore. It's just part of my story, just a different set of facts that I draw on when I need them. That's all. Look to others to provide their sense of safety. When I wasn't trying to take care of someone else, I would try to get somebody to take care of me. This was a losing opportunity for me because it was usually in the form of a married man. Sorry for all the married women out there. They had a better life than I had. And if I could pull them away from their wife, sorry, again, this was previous Karen, I call her PK. That girl would say, wow, he values me so much, he's willing to risk his marriage for me. Wow, he must really care about me. And he has a life, he has a home, he has a business. That's what I want. That's what I want to step into. Maybe he'll leave her and put me in that position. How dense, I mean, that's just stupid. It's just not thinking clearly. You know, that's not the way that whole scenario works out ever. Usually because, you know, if you're going to get divorced, half your stuff is going away. Nobody's going to step into anything. So that wasn't really working out for me. So when I wasn't supporting somebody else financially or otherwise, in other words, me being the higher power, I was trying to get somebody else to take care of me by making them the higher power. I always wanted more stuff, thinking that's what I needed to make me happy. I wanted a house. I wanted a new car every 5 years or however people do that. I don't even know how people do that. But they had the stuff and they were happy. They looked happy. That's what I wanted. In truth, I had no idea if they were happy or not, but I perceived them as being happier than me. And that's all I needed. That's all it took for me to go ahead and run with that notion. Have difficulty getting started, meeting deadlines, and completing projects. Boy, I initially put this as not me. I would cut corners and cheat the system to come in on time. However, I also have a ton of craft projects that aren't finished because they weren't coming out like the picture. I hate to admit this. I don't have a crafty bone in my body. I can appreciate it, but I can't really do it. It just doesn't come out the same way. I follow the instructions exactly. When I'm cooking, I can follow the menu precisely, and it doesn't look like the picture. And they had a show called Nailed It, I think, and it was a cooking show. And they would get these people who didn't really know how to cook or bake or anything and try to get them to make what they had made, you know, with this beautiful cake and all this stuff and decorations and all. And they would do their best. And that's me. I do my best and it come out looking like, holy God, what is that? Unrecognizable. And the show was called Nailed It. I love that show because that's me. That's me. But I tried it anyway. Nowadays, I don't worry about that. Now, here's the fun part of when you have these patterns, when you're practicing these patterns, the neat part is you don't have to do this anymore. You know, you can fail at things and not die. You can cook and have it not come out like the picture, and that's okay. I used to have to be the very best or the very worst. There was no just, this is the way it is. This is, here's what's for dinner. Bon appetit. I know it doesn't look like, you know, anything, but it probably tastes pretty good because all the ingredients are in there. It has to taste the same, right? Just doesn't look like the picture, that's all. But things like that would stop me from trying. I don't care anymore. Maybe I'm just too old to give a damn. Maybe that's it. Maybe my age has mellowed me to the point where I just don't care if it looks like the picture or not. Eat it or don't. So, but yeah, I have meeting deadlines. I'm good at that. Getting started, sometimes daunting tasks. I can look at that and go, man, there's no way through this. I did 7 years worth of my mom's taxes for her because she had that problem. She just looked at it and said, man, this can't be done. IRS showed up at her door and said, it will be done. And so she asked me if I'd do them for her. I don't know shit about taxes. I did them for her. I don't know. As soon as I get to the point where she came out even, all right, I'm done. I don't know anything about it, but she was happy because she didn't have to pay any money. I hope I didn't screw her up real bad. Here again, me not wanting to admit a mistake or not being able to say, I can't do that. That'd be crazy. So hopefully all is well there. It was a lot of work, but I looked at it and said, man, this can't be done, but I've been challenged. My mom said she couldn't do it. So if I could do it, that made me special. My nickname is Special K. I have that on my license plate. I got that name in rehab. I thought it was a compliment, but actually they were telling me I was self-absorbed. Who would figure that? So yeah, I'm getting started is tough, but there is a way around these patterns. If you have that pattern, the answer is one piece of paper at a time. That's all. It's just one piece of paper at a time. I come back from vacation from work and nobody does my job but me. And so I'd have a mountain of papers on my desk, and it looked like chaos. I thought I'm never going to be able to get through there. So I piled everything up in a great big stack and did it one piece of paper at a time. That's all. There is a way around each one of these patterns. There is a healthy way to do all of these things. It's just, without CODA, without the program of CODA, none of this stuff would have ever occurred to me. That's the truth. Okay, having trouble setting healthy priorities and boundaries. I didn't have any boundaries. I came from a family that did not have boundaries. They were not allowed. So I didn't have any skills in setting them. If I tried to set a boundary, there was hell to pay. There was usually physical violence accompanying a browbeating and feeling even worse than you already did to start with. Who wants that? Again, too risky. Okay. The Worst Cooks in America is another program like Nailed It. I got to watch that. See, it makes me feel better. I used to love Jerry Springer because it made me feel better about myself. That's awful. Okay. So in my family, boundaries weren't allowed. Just fear walls. I had lots of fear walls. My fear walls would come across as avoidance. I'd run and hide whenever they were there. If you were discovered, from your hiding place, there was trouble. There was a project to be done, punishment to be meted out, whatever it was, you were the one they found first. So yeah, that was no good. Okay, so now we're on compliance patterns. When do we end up today? That's okay. What I was thinking about, rather than starting the compliance, save that for another day. How's that?
Yes.
And I think I'm just going to open it up for questions and comments.